Welcome back once again to your favorite time, Cryptid City. I'm here with open exchange of ideas and open discussion of out there topics. But before we get too far, let's introduce our guests. Please take it away.
The pride of the East Side, DJ MH Titter. Y'all know what it is.
Wally, a.k.a. Mr. Drama, UrbanGrindTV.
Tito Ali.
All right, they're definitely, we'll go into their topics and where we can find them a bit later in the show. Right now, I'd like to introduce our topic today. Today, we are talking about the pyramids of Antarctica and how it may be part of Atlantis. It's the beginning of our series, of the Atlantis series. It's going to be a multi-part series. In our first part, we're going to be discussing Antarctica and its possibility of being the legendary island of Atlantis. In our future episodes, we'll be looking into future evidences out across the globe and the future and differences of myths and how they're supported in the past. But today, we're going to be sticking more to the Antarctic continent and how I believe that Antarctica is there. It's been part of our culture. And
Wait, what do you mean it's there?
You mean
it's hidden
Atlantis
under
is,
the ice.
Yeah, Atlantis is.
Oh, Atlantis?
My
Okay.
bad. It's been part of our cultures and part of our writing since Plato to Walt Disney. They've all had films, writings about Atlantis. It's ingrained in our culture for thousands of years. Hell, even MacGyver found Atlantis in one of his made-for-TV movies. It's said to be written about in more books and subjects than any other subject in the world, and it is still thought of as myth and fake. Let me think about, what do you believe in Atlantis? Is it a real thing? Was it there in the past, or is it just a myth?
I think it could be possible because, being that it's underwater, like anything is possible underwater, I believe. Plus, there's a strip club out in
Right.
That's
the Atlantis you want to find.
Atlantis.
That's definitely real.
So yeah, maybe.
Hey, she said they were real anyways.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The mountains of Atlantis.
Yes, the mountains of Atlantis. Man, Atlantis is definitely one of those interesting topics, I guess I'm one to entertain, agnostic or what do they call it? Esoteric knowledge and stuff like that, and there definitely seems to be a lot of writings about Atlantis, and they do have some really dope underwater like statues, like stuff that we don't even build today. Like, so I think there's plenty of civilizations that were lost, but the Atlantis is the great Atlantis, right? That's supposed to be like the biggest one.
Big continent, the lost beneath the ocean, the hidden pre-civilization.
I think it's very possible it could be real.
Tito?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, just some of the stuff you see out there that's going on, and yeah, I mean, it seems real. Mm-hmm. Definitely seems real.
Now, are you? So if we all agree that it is real, like, who do you think inhabited Atlantis?
I believe it was a civilization that predates all known culture and writing, and this is the breadth of where civilization and knowledge and the world came from. The people of the world, the
human beings,
human culture, human development, all sprang from Atlantis and teachers of Atlantis. I believe it existed at a time prior to what is believed to be the dawning of man and the beginning of humankind, and writing of 6000 BC at the dawn of Samaria.
Is that where Bigfoot comes from?
No,
I don't want to cross topics.
Bigfoot's he could be worked in here at one point, but that's more in a future episode when we examine future evidences. I wouldn't, maybe an abominable snowman, but no evidence of that in this episode. But let's talk a little bit about Antarctica. It's located at the bottom of the world and below the Antarctic Circle, and it is approximately 54 million square miles. It's the coldest and cruelest place to live on Earth, and the continent of Antarctica was not discovered until 1820, according to modern scientific records. Before that, most maps were just blank on the bottom of the world. Globes were shown just to have nothing but ocean on the bottom. In recent times, there have been so-called discovery of pyramids in this Antarctic. The ice is melting, they're changing. This could be acclimated to global warming, but there is ice melting throughout the continent. So far, 3 of these pyramids have been found so far. One of them near the coast, and the other 2 about 6 miles in past the coast. Now, these pyramids are perfect. They align perfectly north to south like the pyramids of Giza.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Right.
The bases are all equal according to the satellite imaging. Like, the bases are perfectly square and about the approximate size of the Great Pyramids of Giza.
Wow.
Which we'll be discussing in another future episode of evidence. But these pyramids are still below a lot of ice, and it's hard to discover them and hard to explore them because they're still trapped below mountains and mountains of ice, and they're right now can only be really explored through satellite imagery.
Okay.
I had to try and do some preparation for the show. I had checked out a couple of things online, did a little bit of research, and I got to see you can actually go on Google Maps.
Yeah.
And find a pyramid. Like, I seen it. Like, you could see the outline, and they did, like, the side-by-side comparison to the pyramids of Giza, and definitely look like a pyramid.
And they're very straight. They're very structured. And, okay, one mountain that's natural occurrence, I could believe it. 3 of them in such close proximity that look exactly the same, that doesn't add up. That looks like art structures of artificial structures and evidence of man-made structures.
And the location of them.
The location. That's where we get into the hard part, and we will be discussing that later in this episode. Before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about the fossilization records of Antarctica. It shows evidence of, at one time, being part of a subtropic continent. There's certain trees, if I butcher this, apologize, Glossopati trees, which are giant trees that are located in subtropic environments, and they found evidence of these bases and leaf falling fossilized in Antarctica. Now, these trees can grow up to 80 feet tall. These are not small trees, and these forests were massive, and they found about 3 of these forests. Above that, they found pollen samples that also show that Antarctica was at one point more of a subtropic and warmer climate. Now, mainstream scientists will say millions and millions of years ago, before the crustal shift, and that is, true. Yeah. You can't say that wasn't. But there was also a sample done in the canals that feed into Lace Fallstock, the core sampling, that shows evidence of flowing water up to about 13,000 years ago. And that water was still motion and still not frozen over by ice over 13,000 years ago, which is still relatively short compared to our time. And that's at the end of the last ice age, the Pleistocene. I totally butchered that.
Horrible. Horrible. What was the name of that tree again?
The Glossopatier.
Oh, no. So it's funny because you say that because basically I think people agree that, Antarctica existed. It existed in another form.
Yes.
As far as a different weather. So it's very possible that it was inhabited, right?
What they look at now, modern human civilization, according to writing, it goes to about Sumeria, about 7,000 BC. There was an agricultural boom about 10 to 11,000 BC, but that just suddenly stops at one point. And it looks like humans started to proceed in civilization, and then for a couple thousand years backtracked before they started going again. What caused that? What created these stop and goes is still unknown. One of the theories, though, we'll be discussing tonight is crustal Earth displacement. But before we get there, we're going to discuss about some of the passed down knowledge and how we can know about Atlantis thousands of years in the past, and how Plato wrote about Atlantis, and how it's in movies, and our foundations of all of our culture. It resonates so much with us because I believe it is something that we know about deep down in our bones, deep down in our DNA. Plato, in case you never took an introduction to philosophy class, was a famous Greek philosopher who is famous for writing a lot of dialogues and a lot of philosophy.
Was he in 300?
He was not in 300.
He was not in 300.
He was not in 300 in the movie. But he was responsible for his teacher Aristotle and his student Aristotle and his teacher Socrates are known for the modern foundations of Western philosophy and science. They founded the famous Greek college. I have it written down here somewhere. The first institute of higher learning in Western lands, the Academy of Athens. And they're known for their writings about government, people, and all sorts of topics.
You know, some people would say that they borrowed their knowledge from Africa from the beginning.
A lot of people would say
A lot of
Right?
people, yeah. Well, it's known that they traveled. They were all world travelers. They moved, they taught, they learned, they went to Egypt. It's known for a fact that they moved into Africa. They moved into places other people in the world had never occurred to. Near the end, he wrote two things actually specifically about Atlantis, the Timaeus and the Critias. In the Timaeus, it's a dialogue in which he uses real-life people as characters to discuss a festival for the gods, and they talk about an ancient thing in the past, and they talk about the culture of Atlantis that went to war with Athens, which doesn't make sense because Athens didn't exist back then, but fit to their times.
Who won?
I don't know, the Athenians or whatever. Anyway, the character Critias, in real life, it was an ancestor.
You should have saw
of Plato.
300.
Right.
Recounts a story passed down to him from a child about the prehistory of civilization that he remembers, and how all writings of this have been destroyed over time. And he recounts specific details about Atlantis, where it's at, beyond the Pillars of Hercules, beyond this marsh, and how it was destroyed by a sudden deluge that overtook it, and water overtook the earth. In it, they address ideas of advanced civilization and modern technology that at the time wasn't really understood, and they accurately describe a lot of geographic things that matched modern Antarctica that wasn't discovered to thousands of years according to history after them. They refer to multiple deluges, strikes from the sky, and a whole prehistory, and one focus is mostly on the story, and his second one, the Cretaceous, focus mostly on the details.
Okay.
Unfortunately, when writing the Cretaceous, he comes to this point where the island's about to be destroyed, and Zeus starts to speak, and then he died before he can finish writing down the sentence that Zeus spoke before the destruction of Atlantis. So that's one of his last writings. I don't know if it's his last specifically, but it was one of the last things he worked on before the end of his life. A lot of people have gone over and examined this. They figure it could be allegory. They try to change the time to match in with more modern cultures. Some people believe that, because he was such an explorer and went out and really learned from other cultures, that this was just information passed down to him that he was relating in a modern story. How do you guys feel about Plato?
My kid gets that stuff all over the house, everywhere. It gets in the carpet. I don't like Plato.
Y'all seen that movie Life?
Yeah.
So
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. So you remember the scene when he was describing Ray's Boom Boom Room? Don't that kind of sound like the same thing to a degree? Like where everybody gave him a little.
Are we thinking about Atlantis, the strip club again, or are we going back?
Nah, I'm saying how he just described the lost city and everything from Plato's point of view. What if it was Ray's point of view in life?
That's a pretty good correlation.
That everybody closed their eyes and came up with what they saw and what they thought. I believe Atlantis was real. I'm just saying but if it was, the story was stretched between people that now the one that we getting, we really trying to put it together,
rewriting it, right?
But we don't really know what the truth is.
So do you think there's any alien activity on this Atlantis?
There are talks about the gods. There are talks about beings from cultures that bring knowledge. These could be interpreted as aliens. This could be interpreted as some sort of code. The Anunnaki, actually, theory created by Zachary Sitchin. Well, not theory, but interpretation by Zachary Sitchin here. We're actually the Sumerians we were talking about earlier. Those were the gods that they so far believed in. Sitchin, if you take he reads everything as word as, that's what it was. I believe it's a great interpretation. I don't know if that's exactly how things happen. I still have to get a little more into that book, though.
So let me ask you, what's your fascination with Atlantis? And then we're doing a whole series on it, right? Bigfoot didn't even get a series.
You know, when I saw the pyramids in the Antarctica, I just immediately, it just clicked. It's like, holy shit, that's Atlantis. That's where it's been the whole time. And then the more research I did into it, I was not the first one to come up with that theory, by the way. It just, when I thought I did, I thought I was a genius, that I was the first one to ever come up with it.
Then you Google it?
But yeah, I found out there's a lot of great writings. This whole book, Fingerprints of the Gods by Graham Hancock, about the theory, and a lot of my evidence comes from that. It is, I don't know, just something, like I said, ingrained in me, you know, ingrained in all of us.
What do you think the significance of Atlantis is today?
I think it'll rewrite our history as we know it. And I think our whole culture will change if we find evidence of Atlantis.
Okay, so let's say we find it. What changes? Is Donald Trump still going to be the nominee?
Not if we all get together and vote Andy Vagiago.
I'm glad you just brought that up, because I was going to ask, is the Martian-American War, as part of that war that's still going on, according to what you taught me, is that because of the Atlantis? Like, is some of Atlantis, the truths of Atlantis being fought in that war?
You know, that's a good question. I will have to research more into that. I did not really find any direct correlation between Atlantis and the Martian alien war, but I wasn't looking, so my bad. I should have prepared for that. Anyway, there's more evidences of Atlantis. The Darius, I butchered that name, Sicarius.
Good Lord.
Who was a Greek historian who lived in the final BC century between 60, wrote and created the Bibliotheca Historicoria. Again,
what's
butchered
that called
name.
again?
Bibliotheca Historica.
Bibliotheca sounds like French almost.
Bibliotheca
Historica.
Between 60 and 30 BC, which is a 30-volume complete history of the world up until that date, according to all cultures. He was an explorer, and many of these volumes still exist. There are a few in the middle which have disappeared except for fragments. And he brought up several other references to Atlantis, how it was the birthplace of the gods, and how he had several correlations between Plato and how it was destroyed. Between that, there are also a series of ancient maps that have been discovered which have specific details of Antarctica today that were created years before the knowledge of Antarctica was known, according to, specific maps. One created in 1513. It's called the Pre-Reis map. He was a Turkish general. And he was a map maker who created all these maps and a map of the world. And in it, he created a map. You can see it on screen right now. Or if you're here in our studio audience, I will open it up to the book page.
Now, where was it?
How it
it
represents like the tip of Africa, the coastline of Antarctica, and this is the original. And
So
apparently a part of South America, too.
So it was part of like one of those super continents.
Yeah, this was like a hand-drawn, old-school-ass calfskin map or whatever, found in an archive.
Did you say
calfskin, I don't know. I don't know what the material it was made of. I made that up randomly. This map correlates directly to the coastline of Antarctica under the ice that could not be known at that time until the 1950s, when more seismic activity and more exploration was being able to take place, and they can graph the geography of the under the ice continent of Antarctica. Beyond that Pre-Reis map, there's also a Orientis Rentis map, who was a famous French cartographer and mathematician. He was appointed the chair of mathematics at the Collège Royal, presently the Collège de French. And he also created a map that was similar, but showed the entire continent of Antarctica in 1532. And this is prior, hundreds of years before the known location of Antarctica. How are these maps in existence? They both claim that they got the knowledge from older, much older maps and history passed down.
Okay.
It's
pretty dope.
One of these maps were submitted to the U.S. Air Force, and they came back conclusive that the evidence that this map was authentic and this coast was accurate from 1532.
Right, the Air Force is pretty much
So,
like NASA.
you know,
so
there's
they know what's up.
definitely, you know, evidence that it was mapped and known about long before.
With ice-free coasts, mountains, and rivers.
Yeah, and these are, you know, specific details that, you know, couldn't be known until, you know, geographic studies and all that crap. This is all buried below the ice at this point. Now, how is this possible since, according to mainstream science, everything below Antarctica was under the ice at this point? There are a couple theories. First, we got to understand the natural precession of the Earth. And every 25,776 years, the Earth has a natural tilt between 24.5 and 22.1 along the vertical angle. Basically, every year the Earth changes positions about the size of your pinky. And it shifts it just barely enough. And every 25,776 years, it'll switch back to going back to the other way. So it takes over 41,000 years for the entire Earth to go to a natural precession cycle of back and forth from where it originally started. This is used, you know, to date some of the pyramids and date a lot of, you know, structures, you know, that are old, and, you know, you can tell a lot of lineup and dating. It's not an old theory either. This has been proven for thousands and thousands of years. And it's possible that, you know, the natural precession could have just naturally brought this closer to the icier area and froze it up where it could have been subtropical or tropical earlier. But then there's another theory.
Earthquakes.
Earth crust displacement theory. It was created by Charles Hapgood in 1958, and he theorized that in the past, due to some unknown cataclysm, the entire crust of the Earth shifted about 30 latitude degrees. This is evident in the epic and quick glacial meltdown of the last ice age, and prior to this, the Hudson Bay would have been the North Pole area. This would have also brought Antarctica closer to a subtropic area over 2,000 miles more north, and it would have been a lot warmer. Now, the date set of this to happen was about 13,000 BC, give or take. And there's a lot of theories how this could happen. The natural precession of the Earth flipped the pole, which has been known to happen in Earth's past many times. Or this could have been happened due to a massive meteor strike, which would also explain the last suddenness of the last ice age. It's hard to prove this, and at this point it's just a theory, but upon hearing this theory, Albert Einstein really was enthralled with it, and he agreed to write the opening of the guy's book, which at the time was unheard of. You know, to go to Einstein about other scientific theory was unheard of, but he found out about this, and he volunteered to write this because he believed that this could possible and could happen.
I did hear something about that. He did co-sign some stuff.
So, you know,
I know how we can find it.
Hell,
I know how we can get all the research and the money to do it.
oh yeah, how's that?
Just tell them there's some oil down there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's some oil, or some gas, or some diamonds,
Get some
and they'll be in there by the end of the week.
In like Flint.
Right. Seriously, that will get people in there because they don't care. If there's not money in it, they don't care about like the history or the culture or anything like we do.
yeah.
But like the people that are gonna fund it and have the equipment, and then obviously you have, you know, only small periods of time that you can work in that environment, costs a lot of money, you know. But hey, they got ice road truckers, right? So that why can't they go down to Antarctica? But if there's some money down there, we can get all this straightened out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Before the series is up.
There's a lot of theories of what's down there and a lot of mysteries that I don't want to go into tonight. It could be a whole nother episode, the mysteries of Antarctica, the giant Hulk found by Lieutenant Byrd, the idea of inner Earth theory, but that's not tonight's topic. Tonight we're worried more about Antarctica and whether it could have been Atlantis and it could have supported life prior to 11,000, 12,000 BC at the end of the last ice age era. I think that the Earth crust displacement theory definitely explains how that would be possible. And there was definitely a lot of massive upheaval, and there's evidence of ice melting, coast, land that was once land being underwater forever, places underwater which are now land, which are still to this day what it looks like, but thousands of years ago, 11,000 years ago, was much different.
I seen some story where they said it was destroyed by the gods, kind of something like you touched on.
Yeah, destroyed by the gods, which could just be an allegory for a giant meteor. It could be, just natural Earth switching over, and that could be the, natural destruction created by the flipping of the poles. There's how it happens. That's still hard to determine.
Do you think we'll know in your lifetime?
I hope so. With a lot of research, a lot of open-mindedness. I know a lot of mainstream will be against it at first. It'll be hard to prove, and a lot of people will be closed-minded. But I think we just have to persevere.
And research equates to money too, basically.
Yeah, for sure. And you gotta find someone who is willing to pay too. I would do it, but I got $6 in my wallet, so you're welcome to it.
There's oil down in Antarctica/Atlantis, and you want to be the first one to get it.
Yeah, it's my belief that when this is proven, history itself will be rewritten. So, what do you guys think? Is Antarctica Atlantis? Could it be possible? Was it supporting life 1,300 years ago?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
I think definitely, because you look at deserts were once oceans, and this was a swamp land that we're standing on now. So I think through time, the land transitions and it goes back, and the tilt is a big thing, because a 1 or 2 degrees throws off everything, the whole equilibrium of our planet.
Absolutely.
So, but I guess the more important question is what's the significance of the people that were there, and what do they know, and what secrets did they take with them, right?
Yeah, because they know something.
They knew something.
Yeah, it's said that wise men around that time, and there's a whole series of myths, went out into the world and spread that knowledge after the 11,000 BC. They were from Atlantis, or from another land, or from the coast. There's Viracocha in the southern American region, and Mexico. There's a whole bunch. Cara's, I'm butchering that name too. No. And that's. I definitely want to go into a future episode when we look into myths of the first men, and determine if some of these wise men were, in fact, maybe descendants of Atlantis and an advanced culture. Until then, are the pyramid-shaped structures actual pyramids in Antarctica?
I believe so.
We'll find out.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. I'm glad I convinced you guys. It is time for your favorite part of the show. What do you believe? But first, I hear, DJ MH, you have a little bit of news that you wanted to share with us.
Yeah, man. I came across a news interview where in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, there was a gentleman in court for murder. And some happened in the middle of being read his, I guess he was there for sentencing. And before he was sentenced, a woman walked into the courtroom and clapped about 4 or 5 times. They said,
she clapped her booty cheeks?
Huh?
Her booty cheeks?
Not clapped her hands.
Imperative information.
Yeah, we need to know.
Definitely. She clapped her hands as loud as she could about 4 or 5 times. And the man's shackles just fell off his wrists and off his hands, and he got up and jogged out the courtroom. Nobody followed him. Nobody,
what state was that?
I wouldn't.
This is Florida.
It was the booty.
In Florida? And how long? I want to look this up when we get out of here.
I got it. I'm gonna show you.
All right, definitely send me that link. And he sure didn't come off Facebook.
But search continues.
The search continues.
I know where he's at.
And this is
I know where he's at.
Like court documents and everything.
I'm gonna show you the footage.
Wow.
He's in Atlantis.
Absolutely.
Probably. Snuck away.
He jogged out the courtroom, and when I was watching it, I'm like, wait, they ain't shoot him. They ain't nothing. They ain't try to stop him.
Well,
Bermuda Triangle Express there.
What was he, though?
No,
oh, yeah.
He was black.
What?
He was a Haitian guy.
I don't believe it.
Any evidence of voodoo? Or
well, so that's what the speculation is.
What about the lady? What did the lady do? She just walked out?
It's like being said that there's no trace of her.
There's a lot of holes in your story, MH.
Listen.
Because in Florida,
Haitian,
shooting you.
Absolutely. But that Haitian culture believes in voodoo. So that's basically what they're trying to tie the story around.
Maybe that's
how it happened. Like because
so Santeria had something to do with it.
She didn't clap her hands. I'm telling you, that's why they kept him frozen. But never mind.
That's pretty deep.
It's crazy.
Definitely creepy. I'll definitely have to look that one up.
Hey, I got sent in a question about tonight's segment.
Okay, let's hear it.
I don't want to backtrack, but we need to know the question came from Rusty Blade, and he wants to know who is the real king of Atlantis. Is it Submariner or Aquaman?
Submariner, Namor himself is definitely the king. Aquaman's kind of a pussy. I mean, he wears orange. Kind of a wuss. I'm going to have to go with Namor there. He's definitely more of the badass.
And what's the I'm not a comic book guy, so I've heard of Aquaman. I didn't know he was real, but who's the other guy? Submariner.
Submariner is more the Marvel equivalent, who's a little older than Aquaman.
So it's like
I'm sure they'll have a movie with him in the next 10 years or something.
So
but he's as old as Captain America himself and is part of the original.
It's like Sprite and 7-Up?
Yes. Only one's cooler and one's Aquaman.
So for the record, Submariner is the king of Atlantis.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so, let's go on to our questions for you. I'm going to have to ask you, what do you believe? Tell me what on your beliefs on shapeshifters are skinwalkers. Are humans able to transform themselves into other beings or other types of animals?
I've only seen it twice in movies. X-Men, of course, Mystique, and when Snoop changed in to the dog. That was the only time I, could say I've ever seen it.
There's a rich Native American culture of skinwalkers and humans that are able to turn themselves to animals at will. Are they just making that up?
I don't know. I can't really say because Snoop actually looks like the dog he transferred into. So
still,
that is a good point.
Absolutely.
Even with dreads.
Right. So maybe.
All right, let's hear some of your theories about the skinwalkers are shapeshifters.
Okay, so I understand the shapeshifters, right? They can turn to like a person or animal. But what's a skinwalker?
A skinwalker is a Native American legend. They're about I would guess, a mystic or old Native American mystic who, through will of magic and through will, can turn themselves into a type of animal, such as a wolf, a bear, or some other type of animal.
I know that Native American, and I'm part Native American, are big on hallucinogens. They do take a lot of hallucinogens. So maybe it's possible. I'm gonna go with because there's some weird stuff going on out here right now. Seriously.
All right.
I'm gonna say, actually, I'm gonna agree with Drama on my fam, y'all. It's the only time I seen it is Rebecca Romaine Stamos.
Okay.
Okay.
Professor X was definitely there.
Yep.
And Snoop. But I mean, if you're saying that it's evidence to support that, then man, we live in a strange ass world. So probably.
I've seen that even famous politicians are accused of being shapeshifters.
There is a history of shapeshifters, the reptilian types of shapeshifters that are known to have. That was discussed actually in our very first episode
about
of
the
Cryptid
Democratic
City.
nominee was possibly.
Yes. One of our. I won't say Hillary Clinton's name, but she's possibly a shapeshifter due to her eyes transforming. Our next topic is one of my favorites. Do you believe in the chupacabra, the legendary goat sucker, the creature that hunts Puerto Rico and said to be Texas?
I never heard of it.
Never heard of the chupacabra?
I've never heard of it.
Someone's been living under a rock. Okay, there are two types of famous chupacabras.
Okay.
There's the kind in Puerto Rico who are known to be small humanoid creatures who feast on the blood of goats and small chickens and other small animals.
Small children.
And small children. Some even are said to have wings.
Okay.
There's another type of chupacabra which are mostly seen through Texas and the Southwest, which are more doggish in nature and have some sort of, could be described as kind of dogs with mange, but a little more bestial, if that. Tons of these sightings of these creatures.
What do you believe, MH?
I believe what my man just said right here. It sounds like Jeepers Creepers. Like I don't really. I ain't never heard of it.
I think it's possible that a wolf or a dog bang some other animal, and created a hybrid, which is kind of what the chupacabra sounds like.
Part one of the description of chupacabra, yes, the Texas chupacabra.
It's a hybrid.
Puerto Rican ones, the more original ones, are more known to be humanoidous creatures.
That's why they're gonna build that fence, man. Keep the chupacabras out.
But he could fly. If he's from Puerto Rico,
could fly. Yeah.
He could fly. Like
I believe it too.
You believe in the chupacabra?
I'm Latino, so we really serious about our what we believe, and you know.
I mean, we've been discovering species every year, right?
And that's what we do. So I think it's something to. Yeah, we do. We on the cutting edge of.
Every species is a cryptid until it's discovered.
Yeah, I believe it. I definitely believe it. I'm sure.
All right, now I got one last question about what you believe tonight. Do you believe in parallel worlds and alternate dimensions? Is there a different version of you living in a different world with a different type of life, or a different type of decision-making process from you?
Well, if he is, he needs to send me some money because I need some. But I don't know. Anything possible, but I don't really know about that. Like I said, if so, he need to holler at me and help me out down here.
I've heard stuff about alternate parallel universe and alternate dimensions, right? So basically, that for people that don't know, that's so it's another dimension where
it's a theory where you exist, or this world exists in an altered form, or there's different forms. It's a very common trope in sci-fi movies,
like The Matrix.
Yeah, kind of. There's some versions where maybe the world's slightly different, where all right-handed people are left-handed people, or something like that.
Like John's on time.
Sometimes it's you go right instead you go left. Or
are you early?
Sometimes it's the Nazis won World War II, and we're in a post-Nazi environment.
Are you on time in the other parallel?
In one parallel universe, it is very possible that I am always on time at every time.
I would like to be there.
I would always conclude that I am never late, though. I always arrive precisely when the universe means me to arrive, but that's a personal
research reports
option on me. Tito, how about your belief in the parallel universe?
Man, I mean, I've heard about, paradise on Earth, that type of thing. I believe that. I would say is more... I can reach that. My mind can be wrapped around that. But as far as parallel universes, I don't know, man. That's kind of a reach. That's kind of a stretch.
It is. There are actually lots of sciences that go behind this. There's, if you go into physics, I'm no physician. Physic guy. I don't know what it's called.
Physicist.
Physicist. That's it. Myself.
You're not much of an English speaker either.
You speak them pretty big words.
Right. We're going to put it in the big letters.
But, I believe there are times we connect with our alternate dimensions and parallel universes. If you've ever experienced deja vu, I believe you're experienced the exact same moment as another version of you has experienced that moment as well. I feel that I have dreams that are set in repeated places that are different from this world, but are still common and repeated throughout the dreams, whereas the dreams are not the same. Just the settings reoccur. I believe these are just ways we tap into our alternate dimensions and our parallel universe selves, and that they're definitely out there and they exist.
Now that you say that, I ain't gonna say I switched my belief, but I kind of get what you're saying, because I've had dreams, and then like in reality it might come somewhat true, and you like, I saw this before.
Yeah,
I was here before.
Right? Are those moments of deja vu where are identical down to the last detail, from the music playing in the background to what you're seeing when you turn your head? Definitely part of.
It could be relatable. I could see where that could be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, before we wrap up, I got one last thing to discuss. Recently, our mother show, UrbanGrindTV, won our 5th Chicago Music Awards.
The nominees for Best Music TV Show is Rod TV, GB TV, My Stick Vibes TV, Urban Grind TV, Status TV. And the winner is Urban Grind.
What's going on my Chicago Music Awards. First off, I'd like to say I'm humbled and honored to meet your guys' acquaintance. I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior for having me be here today. My beautiful family, the team, because it's a team effort. And thank you to the Martins International, man, for 35 years of pushing for the city of Chicago. So thank you very much. Thank you. Church.
This year, they combined the music awards with the Festival of Life, and when we were out there filming, we ran into a gentleman named Jerry Parker who is promoting his book, Ancient Egypt and the Secrets of the Sun. We were on hand, and we were able to get an interview, so I hope you enjoy that right now. This is John Daniel. We're here with a special segment at Cryptid City. I'm here with analyst, free thinker, and much, much more. Jerry Parker, who has a book here, Ancient Egypt and the Secrets of the Sun. Tell us a little bit about your book and a little bit about what you're writing about.
Well, I'm writing about ancient Egypt and African Americans reclaiming their history by being direct descendants of the ancient Egyptian. And from that point of view, this book is a little bit different from most other books because it keys off of nature rather than Western academia or Afrocentric issues. I mean, it's still Afrocentric, but the main focus is nature.
So tell us a little bit about how you came up with some of these theories. What's some of your background?
Well, my background is that I went to Calumet High School during the 67, toward the end of the Black Power era. At that time, Calumet had courses relating to African history. I first started out by being introduced to world geography accidentally because I took a class that I shouldn't have been taking. I think it was for seniors and juniors. And I took this class, and that's when I first learned about South Africa. And from that, I was spurred on with other subjects at Texas at Calumet High School.
Have you worked with anyone out there?
Well, I went to Texas Southern University, and after graduating from Texas Southern University, I was mentored by Walter Williams. Walter Williams wrote The Historical Origin of Christianity, and that was first published in 1992 after we came back from our trip to Egypt.
All right. If people were interested about finding out about this book, where can they find it? Can they buy it online? Do you have a website?
Yeah, I have a website, and also it's available on Amazon, and also I have a P.O. box where they can locate it. And my website is www.ancientegyptsecrets.com.
Thank you very much for joining me once again. This is Jerry Parker. I'm John Daniel, and this is Cryptid City. Well, I hope you enjoyed the interview. Jerry Parker definitely was a character. No, I haven't had a chance to really read his book, but from what I've been able to go through and skim through, he's got some way out there ideas which really don't make sense. He disputes the basic theories of the atom and that it even exists. He thinks Einstein is whack. He days of the week he believes should be counted on the lunar cycle instead of the solar cycle because that's the way the ancient Egyptians did it. There was one point where he conspired about Father's Day being part of the festival of the summer solstice. He's got a lot to answer for, and I definitely want to bring him onto the show for a future interview. So this is an open invitation to Jerry Parker. I'm going to read through your book. I got a lot of questions for you, and I don't want to say you have to defend your theories, but man, you got to defend your theories. So I'd like to thank you all for joining me here at Cryptid City. Before we go, I'd like to let everyone have a opportunity to where they can find them and follow them on social media.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at DJMHTwitter. That's DJMH2DA. And on Facebook as well. Just type in DJMHTwitter and I'll pop right up.
It's your boy Wally, a.k.a. Mr. Drama, executive producer, UrbanGrindTV. You can check me out at UrbanGrindTV on everything, UrbanGrindTV.com.
What's up? It's your boy Tito Ali, Grammy-nominated producer, composer. You can find me on Instagram at I'm Just Tito, T1TO. Shout out Shy City.
Thank you once again for joining us. As always, you can find Cryptid City on all social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Cryptid City, CryptidCity. Cryptid City. We are the open discussion of ideas, the free exchange of conversation. No topic is off limit, and we're here to discuss most of the stuff as long as it's not too out there. Thank you once again for joining us. I'm John Daniel, and this has been Cryptid City.